Hi, everybody. I'm going to make this quick, so maybe we can get through it here in a pretty quick hurry. And this is about why I use my trail cameras the way I do. You know, I hunted for, oh gosh, 30 plus years without a single trail camera. Just something I didn't need or want. I just decided one day to just see what's out there, see if I'm seeing them. And the truth was, I was seeing a good percentage of the deer that were resident on my property, probably all of them if you want the truth, at one point or another. But what the trail camera does for me is tell me what is resident at the time of hunting or right prior to hunting. I don't really care what's out there after December. I don't really care what's out there prior to really the end of August, 1st of September. Our hunting season here opens October 1st. Being in ag country with broken timber and creeks and river bottoms, these deer tend to, especially the bucks, move from food source to food source, whatever tastes good for the day, whatever they crave, and they have pretty good memories the older they get. They know about this great big mulberry patch or where the raspberries are, or they even know when it's corn and when it's beans. I mean, there's huge bean and cornfields around. So as those crops become popular, they will gravitate toward that. In the summer, right now, my does are having fawns. They're all broke apart. They're spread all over the landscape. They spread out. They spread their fawns out. And frankly, I don't need to know what's passing through today, what's eating in this food plot today or tomorrow. I don't need to know that right now. What I do need to know is what's there when I'm going to start hunting. You know, older bucks, mature bucks are funny in a certain non-funny way. They will set up shop around a really good food source and they'll hit that food source almost daily or every other day. I've seen it 1,000 times in person and on my cameras. The other thing it tells me is when the deer switch from being so nocturnal, what temperatures are due to the deer. And I've learned through observation and watching them that there's a certain time of year, they call it the October lull. And what it is bucks are laid up as close to food as possible, their preferred food, and really most of that time is spent on the highest protein and highest carbs. The truth is, that's not always where you think you need to be or where you can hunt. I need to know when they're favoring a specific food plot for the wind conditions I have. You know, it's okay to go out there. I did it for years. I still do it. Go out there, not look at a trail camera picture, just go sit down. As a matter of fact, I like doing that early in October. And sometimes I don't even sit on the food plots. I just go out and get on a stand and back up and just watch. I'm a firm believer in that. You can see a lot from a long ways off on some of these stands. The last thing I'm going to do is dive into the middle of a thicket or a woods right next to a food source or water. Not going to happen. I move in gently, and when I do go to a food plot, it's because Mr. Wonderful showed up. So I'll set at least one camera on my food plots looking out across them where the deer prefer to slide out, because let's face it, deer like coming out from their cover in places that they feel comfortable. The terrain might dip down, or there might be a tree sticking out farther, and that's where they pop out from. So I'll set up my cameras to take advantage of that. I don't need cameras to kill deer or bucks. Whoa, that wind's getting awful frisky. But what I use them for is to make sure that I'm hunting where there's mature bucks feeding or moving through. That's why. I'm not going to lie about it. Most guys, I'm just keeping tabs on them. I want to know who's there. Well, that's fine, but I'm not going to pay for my cell cams to run 12 months a year. And yes, I want to know who's there. You know the number one thing that hunters do that's wrong, in my opinion, and I've seen it millions and millions of times online. I've heard the stories thousands of times. I even did it myself a few times when trail cams first came out, and I got one. You get one or two pictures of a great big buck, usually in November or right in the middle of summer when he's great big and velvet and he's there, and then you don't get any more pictures of him. Or you, like I said, you'll get two or three pictures, but that's it. On all your cameras, and I run a lot of cameras. I do. I want to know what's on my food plots. That's the nuts and bolts of it. But the truth is, too many guys think they're hunting that great big old monster, and they're really, really not. He doesn't even really live there. Your place where you're hunting or own just is on the edge of maybe where he's traveling. The other thing a lot of guys don't realize is most of the bucks they're hunting are only 3.5 years old, because that's where they get big, their antlers start getting big, and they're really impressive. That's truth. And to be honest with you, those 3.5-year-olds all of a sudden will get up from where they live and maybe move a mile or two and call that their new home, their new core area. I can't tell you the number of times in October-ish, September, October, all of a sudden I get a brand new, what appears to be a really big 3.5-year-old buck. Truth is, probably came from somebody else's place. And they're going to miss him because he's going to spend the majority of the rest of his life in this new home range. That's biological, and you can check that out online. And I have been the recipient of that because of the improvements in the habitat and the food so many times I can't even count it. And that's why I use my cameras. I want to know who showed up. And then come the rut, I want to know where they're checking the does and where they're moving by and what times. And that's why I use them. That's the only reason I'm using them. I could go out there and set and set and set and set. And I'll get me my buck eventually. But it's a little smarter to use what you know and the habits of a specific buck to get him shot. And that's what I've been doing for years. I let them tell me where they're going to be in October, then again in November. And then that's why I don't care where they're at right now. I might have, by golly Mowgli, standing out there with the gargantuan rack in one of those food plots every evening. I'm not going out there at 9 o'clock to look at him. I've been out there enough working through the day. So the truth is, you can condition these deer to get used to your farming and your work activities, but they'll never get used to you showing up where you're not supposed to be at the wrong time. And that's why I use cameras now. It's easier than going out and spying on them with your binoculars in a fence row. And what if they just happen to come upon you? Because I've had that happen lots of times. They just turn and start coming towards you, and then you're busted. That's how and why I use my cameras. I don't want to hunt that ghost buck that shows up once or twice a year. I don't want to hunt deer I don't have. And I want to know what bucks I have. That's why I use them. And I want to know where they're at and how they travel. That's another reason. That way I don't make the mistake of going in and stomping him out, or worse, bouncing into the wrong food plot and tear it up for later for no reason at all. That's it. Any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. But a lot of guys think they're running some kind of inventory and this and that. That's fine, good for them. I'm just not going to pay for it. And I'm certainly not going to run the batteries down doing it. My inventory starts about September. And I just keep picking up inventory. I don't know why. Maybe they like high protein, good crap, and lots of cover. Have a good day.